Anti-Afro Bengalis, I had to come on here to make this known that I find it quite peculiar. I shouldn't say surprising, but it is pretty galling nonetheless that Lenon Honor has the nerve to be upset or offended that Umar Johnson is doing anything he can to avoid saying his name. So he has decided to play switcheroo with people's names and titles. This is Umar Johnson. Lenon is calling it out, but he's not calling out the fact that he's doing it as well. Let me let you hear these clips, and I'm going to come back and explain exactly what's going on. Stay tuned, and I will return.
You rant and you rage, and then people they're asking, because that's all that people are asking. Well, who's this guy Lenor? They say all kind of names, Lenor, Lennox. Who's this guy? And then someone will reply and say, "Oh, that's Lenon Honor. Go check out his YouTube page." And then people come over. And again, some of you're here in defense of Umar. I get it. I don't hold no animosity towards you. I'm not going to demean or disrespect you or call you names, because Umar does that to y'all. If you don't send him get on that track and send him that money hole, that's how he look at y'all. I don't look at y'all like that. I ain't gonna do y'all like that. He's more disrespectful to y'all than anybody else.
Not even being honest with the Lenon response, because you're mixing up Lenon Honor with Gerald Palmer, and I think you're purposely doing it so you can push a certain narrative, because I think you have realized that the narrative that Lenon is a part of the LGBTQ community is no good. The only thing that you have to discredit Lenon, other than, the fact that he makes videos about you, is his sexual orientation, and you don't want to let that go, especially when we got the footages. We got the content, bro.
It's about Pastor Bussy, Rainbow Bunny. Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny, has been cyber stalking me for 10 years. People have asked me to put a stop to him legally. I had 2 attorneys who sent him cease and desist. And he did not cease and desist. Those attorneys did not live in Utah, where he lives. Those attorneys did not live in Utah, so there was no follow-up. I recently consulted with a Utah attorney who told me I have a serious case against Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny.
Not even being honest with the Lenon response, because you're mixing up Lenon Honor with Gerald Palmer, and I think you're purposely doing it so you can push a certain narrative, because I think you have realized that the narrative that Lenon is a part of the LGBTQ community is no good. The only thing that you have to discredit Lenon, other than, the fact that he makes videos about you, is his sexual orientation, and you don't want to let that go, especially when we got the footages. We got the content, bro.
Okay, the reason why I played this certain clip twice from Comedy Consciousness that addresses the fact that Umar is switching names around and titles is because it highlights the fact there are plenty of people who are around who know exactly what Umar Johnson is trying to do in these recent live streams, deliberately mixing names and titles around. So Lenon Honor is offended that Umar Johnson's not coming out and saying his name. Well, so is Lenon. Also playing fast and loose with the truth. Lenon knows good and damn well who Umar Johnson is referring to. Lenon Honor never held a title as a reverend or a pastor. Reverend Gerald Palmer is who Umar Johnson is referencing with respect to the religious titles and the nicknames. AKA Rev G, Rainbow, Bussy, all of these pejoratives that Umar Johnson was slinging around, he slung them around to Rev G. To a very significantly lesser degree, Umar Johnson had very, very little smoke for Lenon Honor because he knows Lenon Honor is no threat. Let me let you hear a very prime example of what distinguishes Rev G from Lenon Honor when it comes to the smoke and the heat that Umar Johnson brought. Check this out.
Hey, yo, motherfucker, check me out, man. All right? I ain't got no name, but I know one motherfucking thing. You better quit interrupting Dr. Umar's motherfucking parent teleconference, okay? Stop interrupting the black man teleconference with your faggot ass, all right? And stop supporting the LGBTQ movement, faggot, okay? I don't know what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with the church today. Funky ass pastors like you that got the white man's cock stuck in their mouth. Get the white man's dick out your mouth and stop fucking with Dr. Umar. Fuck out of here. Hey, yo, motherfucker, check me out, man. All right? I ain't got no name, but I know one motherfucking thing. You better quit interrupting Dr. Umar's motherfucking parent teleconference, okay? Stop interrupting the black man teleconference with your faggot ass, all right? And stop supporting the LGBTQ movement, faggot, okay? I don't know what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with the church today. Funky ass pastors like you that got the white man's cock stuck in their mouth. Get the white man's dick out your mouth and stop fucking with Dr. Umar. Fuck out of here.
Yeah, this is what Umar Johnson told his followers to do. Get a hold of Rev G. Just bombard him. Rev G was getting like 300 messages a day, text, email, phone calls. Umar Johnson never did anything like that to Lenon Honor. As far as the cease and desist, Rev G got a cease and desist letter. Lenon Honor got one. It was a generic one that we believe Umar didn't even facilitate. My name was mentioned on that, indicating that I received one, but I never received it directly. It was never mailed to me. So that's nothing unusual. Umar had a lot of folks doing things for him he wasn't even invested in. If Umar was really worried about Lenon Honor, he could have simply struck his page. Lenon Honor is not a threat. Now, let's make it clear that Lenon Honor was subjected to a campaign of claims that he was DL, claims that he was a married man with children, getting it on with other dudes. But those allegations and that campaign was contained within a certain sector, and it was perpetrated and promulgated by those who only wanted to get Umar Johnson's attention for their own benefit. There was never any link up with Umar Johnson with respect to going after Lenon Honor. And Comedy and Consciousness told you that. It didn't take. Why did it take with Rev G? Because Rev G has always been a threat to Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson says going back 10 years, that is Rev G. 2014, before Rev G came to YouTube, that's when he and Umar Johnson locked horns. Umar Johnson was very reactive to Rev G's efforts to make sure people knew the truth about Umar Johnson. The short version, Umar Johnson was claiming to have all these credentials he didn't have and dispensing very dangerous information and targeting people with protected group status while claiming to be this educator, totally in violation of every rule and regulation of equality. Rev G is an LGBTQI ally. Allies, for the most part, are heterosexual people who support the LGBTQI community. And Rev G confronted Umar Johnson with his rancid, rabid homophobia. And Umar Johnson didn't like that. So he comes after Rev G, a heterosexual man, making all these claims. He didn't do that with Lenon Honor. The other group targeted Lenon Honor. They were mad about the money he was making online. He didn't do that with Lenon Honor. The other group targeted Lenon Honor. They were mad about the money he was making. They were claiming that Lenon Honor was having sex with all these different men. They went out and hired people on Craigslist to come and get interviewed and say, here, yeah, I had sex with Lenon Honor and he's waiting for me and here I am outside his house and we're going to go rendezvous. All these stories they were coming up with. And at the forefront of that is that No Jumper from Liberia who was doing that shit. He was the main one along with Dumpsy D. Durrell. They were the ones running after Lenon Honor, putting out all this shit about him being gay and DL. That was not Umar Johnson's campaign. Umar Johnson didn't give a shit. He didn't care because Lenon Honor was not a threat. They were doing it only to get Umar Johnson's attention. They weren't even Umar Johnson supporters. They just wanted to get known by Umar to see if that would help them catapult themselves. They didn't give a shit about no Umar Johnson. Never cared. And Umar Johnson never joined their campaign. They were talking shit about Umar Johnson, which pissed Umar Johnson off. Umar Johnson was never on any campaign on Lenon Honor about any gay men-on-men action. He's trying to push this up now because Lenon Honor getting into his business about this female. And we all know how Umar feels about situations like this. So to sit here and say Lenon doesn't know what he's saying and doing, and Umar doesn't know what he's saying and doing without his name switches is bullshit. Both know exactly what they're doing. Both are very territorial, not wanting to share. Both want to make sure they're the only ones who can hoard the money. But there are those of us who are not in it for that. We're in it for other reasons. But they perceive it to be other people are after what I have. I need to be the only one. Therefore, I'm going to act like I'm the only one who got this information. Nobody gave it to me, like it's through osmosis, because they have a financial stake. Umar has a financial stake in it. Lenon Honor has a financial stake in it. Rev G doesn't have a financial stake in it. I don't have a financial stake in it. So this is why these two are essentially acting the same. Now, let me give you another example of what I mean by Lenon Honor being just as territorial and hogging the scene, or trying to hog the scene, like Umar is. The smoke god went out to the abandoned bomb shelter that Umar Johnson calls a school, aka FDMG. Smoke showed up face to face and had a conversation with Umar Johnson about what was going on. Do you think Lenon Honor covered that? Do you think that Lenon Honor wants to have that on his page for everybody to see? It's someone going out to the abandoned bomb shelter to confront Umar face to face. The videotape was right here on YouTube. Do you think Lenon Honor had any interest in covering that? What is your answer? No, Lenon doesn't want to cover that. Because Lenon would feel obligated that he would have to share something if he covered that big story. That was pretty significant. A face-to-face interaction with Umar Johnson on this property he claims is a school. Oh no. If I have to share in any way, shape, or form, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. That is the same attitude that Umar Johnson has. The difference now is Lenon Honor is up in his personal business. And Umar doesn't like that. He don't like you messing with the money or his personal business. Umar Johnson is not going to get anywhere with a quote lawsuit. If he really wanted to come after Lenon Honor, all we'd have to do was copyright strike his channel down. And if somebody was so deep into my personal life using my content to attack me about my personal life, and I'm not talking about just people, just rumors, actually interviewing people, and the storyline is not new, by the way. This has gone on with Umar since the beginning of time, but it hits differently when you're the person they're talking about. And they have people on their channel interviewing them about your personal, private, intimate life. The conscious stripper really didn't say a whole lot. She could have said 1,000,000 times more, but she didn't. This person is really spilling the beans, and this is why Umar Johnson is mad. Umar Johnson was also mad because Rev G, along with the rest of us on this side here, impacted his money. Umar Johnson's not going to get anywhere with a civil suit against Lenon Honor, but he will get any and everywhere striking that channel down. That's up to Umar Johnson. Maybe the time has come. Wasting time on a civil suit is not going to get you anywhere. Striking the channel Doesn't cost any money at all. And trust and believe, it would take no effort for him to take care of Lenon Honor and get that channel down. If that's what Umar Johnson decided he wanted to do. I know I would. If someone had done that to me and used intimate, personal, sexual, factual information, you have the actual person. And when I say factual, it's from their perspective, and they're providing you with documentation that dives into the deepest depths of your life. You're talking about someone's mother and her health conditions, and you're using my shit? You're using my content? No, that channel would have been gone a long time ago. But for the fact, like I said earlier, Lenon Honor was never, ever a threat to Umar Johnson until now. Oh, I could say so much more, I just might. Just stay tuned. But in the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.